The Cincinnati Bengals beat the Miami Dolphins 27-15 on Thursday night in Cincy. But what everyone is going to be talking about from this game is the ugly situation with Tua Tagovailoa, a scary situation as his head gets slammed to the ground. He goes into that fencing reaction. A telltale sign of head trauma has to be taken to a local hospital. Joining me now from Locked on Dolphins, Kyle Krabs. And Kyle, there was a lot of discussion on social media and elsewhere, and this is going to be a big topic moving forward, pairing what happened on Thursday night with the situation on Sunday against Buffalo in Miami. So I have to ask you this. How does what happened on Thursday night affect the way you see how Sunday was handled?
Well, I know there's a lot of skepticism about the injury that was suffered on Sunday, and the NFLPA has requested an investigation. And quite frankly, I think it's very difficult to say anything definitively until there is more information that is gathered from Sunday, because it was claimed that the independent physician that conducted the concussion check on Sunday gave him the all clear. You could see a play on Sunday's game where he did tweak his back, and that was something that they piggybacked off of, where later in the game when that hit happened, that was presumably what they were explaining the situation was. So I know everybody wants to immediately jump to, but I think this is something that, like, surface level, it doesn't look good, but I think it does deserve the due process of getting all of the information collected, because it could be a very unfortunate coincidence too, and that NFLPA investigation into the protocols that were put in place that, we're following Tua Tagovailoa on Sunday. We will get clarity on it. Is standard a couple week process from my understanding. And unfortunately, that, if there was anything nefarious at play, it happened to be paired with a game that was played 4 days later after that original incident.
Yeah, the timeline does not help anyone in the situation because the investigation is going to take some time. There were some questions. Could this have been fast tracked? But the turnaround makes this all really difficult to try and figure out in real time. So as we sit here now for the Miami Dolphins, does what happened change at all the way that you feel about the decisions the team made to play Tua? Because that was another thing out there that was like, how could he have been cleared? But like, from what we said, he was cleared on Sunday and he was cleared moving forward. So how could the Dolphins have handled this any differently?
I don't think that you could have. And again, that's based on the information that we have. And I think this is, um, if more transparency is needed with concussion protocol and the handling of that, maybe that's something that can be discussed and explored. But based on the information that we have at our disposal, and we had at our disposal on Sunday, like, I don't know what other conclusion you could have reasonably come to other than, hey, that looked pretty scary. I don't know that I would necessarily agree that that was a back injury based on the visuals from afar and not conducting any actual examination of Tua Tagovailoa ourselves. And that opinion exists plenty on social media, and I get it, because optically it does not look good. But it's one of those things. The information that's at our disposal, I didn't come into this game saying, "Oh, geez, I can't believe Tua Tagovailoa is playing quarterback tonight for the Miami Dolphins against the Cincinnati Bengals," because of what information that we had on Sunday and how that game was handled and that situation was handled.
Yeah, I struggle with it because I am at once the guy that says, please do not pay attention to Twitter doctors and we should not be diagnosing these players from afar. But then, you watched it just like I did on Sunday, certainly, and then on Thursday night, and you went, that looks really bad. And we just don't have the information, and that's why it's hard to make these sort of declarations about this person did this thing and X, Y, and Z. So from a football standpoint, what were you able to take away from a game on short rest after a brutal contest against the Bills in oppressive heat? And we're of course praying for everyone in Florida, especially Southwest Florida, that was hit really hard by Hurricane Ian. But what were you able to take away football-wise from this game in a game where you don't have your quarterback for half the game?
Yeah, I think any chances that you had to win the football game, it felt like they left the building when Tua Tagovailoa suffered the injury that he did. And then later in the game, Xavier Howard has a setback with his groin injury. And that's where you saw Cincinnati hit a couple of big plays in the passing game to help break that game open in the fourth quarter. So football is a game of attrition. And I think the Dolphins, the month of September for them, this was just too much to overcome here down the stretch to play this game on a short week with everything else from a dynamics in the game perspective that they had to try to fight through as well.
And it felt like, and I Charles Woodson tweeted that it's hard to just want to go play after that, just for everybody involved, whether it's your teammates or it's an opponent, because this is the reality of the game that we all love. And that's just the unfortunate part of it.
Yeah. And I certainly felt that myself. I'm sitting here watching the game and trying to stay engaged in what's happening. And it's just like, does it matter right now? Like it didn't feel like it mattered right now at that moment with an injury that was as scary as that was. And Amazon did not shy away from putting it on the screen, which I was very surprised about as well. But yeah, it certainly puts things in a different perspective on this Friday morning.
Luckily, we got the report during the game that Tua was going to be discharged from the hospital, that he had movement in all of his extremities, that he was alert, that he was talking. And so the signs are good right now. We will see what happens moving forward. And of course, check on Locked On Dolphins for all of the latest. Kyle, thanks.